Sit back, relax, put your belt on, and enjoy the show.
Harry, take us into the game that we all actually want to watch, Crusaders and the Hurricanes.
Right, so the Crusaders versus the Hurricanes. Returning on this one, David Havili has been all but confirmed to return, while you also have Dane Coles, who hasn't been mentioned, but they said a couple of weeks ago it was a minor calf injury. So I assume that means that he's there or thereabouts as well, although I could see them just easing him into the season with the performance of Asafa Almua as well.
Well, easing him in, even possibly not off the bench. They could even just give him another week because there's a bye in round 3. So they might think, look, we'll just bring him back round 4, which would be terrible for me as a Dane Coles owner.
Yeah, but I actually think it's a good shout because, you know, he's an older player. Ongoing niggly calf injuries can be a bit of a problem, and it would make good sense, to be honest. David Havili, I mentioned already, he's the big kind of puzzle piece in this backline for the Crusaders. We think Will Jordan is in doubt, or a lot of doubt at the moment. So it means, does David Havili go to 15 and Che Fiaki drops back to the bench, or does Dallas McLeod drop out, David Havili back to inside centre? I thought they were both pretty solid last week. I was pretty impressed by Fiaki on debut as well. What do you guys think?
You go, Nelson.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's a bit of a tough choice. I think the choice is what they want to do. Do they want to do something for longer term? Do they want to put Havili into that 12, hoping that Will Jordan will come back into that 15 jersey? Or do they want to keep moving Havili every single week to fill what they want? He wants to play fullback. Do you give him that crack now? It's really, really tough for them moving forward.
I think we'll see Havili play fullback. I think we would have seen him play 12 if Will Jordan was fit and available. I'm sure by now they will have got scans and they'll know if Will Jordan is out for another 6 or 8 weeks. I think Harry had written in the casualty ward if he does have a fractured rib. And I think if he does, David Havili will take the opportunity to be back at fullback with both hands. You know what I mean? He has been, we've said every year, how is he not in that All Black squad? And if he gets a chance to play 6 to 8 weeks with Crusaders in the fullback spot, he's taken that. And Dallas McLeod, I think, will just be the beneficiary, get to keep on trucking on at 12.
Yeah, I expect the Crusaders scrum just to absolutely destroy Fraser Armstrong, Asafa Almua, and Tyrell Lomax. I think they're going to have them for breakfast, so that's going to be scary. The biggest weakness for the Crusaders, however, I think, is their loose forwards. It might be a little bit harsh to say after some of the things that we've seen, but Blackadder, Christian, Cullen Grace, it's actually a very young bunch of loose forwards. I don't think that they've shown just yet that they can match it with the top loose forward packs in the competition.
I wanted to say, I thought Ethan Blackadder was immense. Like, obviously, we talked up Cullen Grace, and he did have a fantastic showing last year. I thought Ethan Blackadder this game was incredible. I think he's going to be really good.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm not trying to take anything away from the players. I just think that realistically, that's probably the one area that you can attack this team. Vetru Douglas, if he's back as well, is just going to add another layer, because then you do get that level of maturity in that side as well, which I think is probably the one thing that's missing in that back three. Also, look, I'm just kind of licking my lips for Sevu Reece, and to a lesser extent, Lester Fainga'anuku to run over Garden Bishop, just for Richie Moe, just to look at the little inside ball and just run straight at him. It's just going to be so tasty, and Garden Bishop's going to be diving at shadows, not knowing what to do with himself. Fainga'anuku is probably just going to run through him. It's going to be fantastic.
And it's going to be the bus up against Sevu Reece.
Yeah, Sevu Reece is going to make him look silly, let's be honest. We've seen how Sevu Reece hits in defense, and he's so fast in attack as well. But maybe this is the time he puts Salisi Rayasi in, just so he can't ruin Julian Sevilla's great name. Speaking of the Hurricanes, Peter Umaga-Jensen, I fully expect him to start at outside centre over Billy Proctor. They did say that he missed the first few days of training last week because of his paternity leave. So now that he's had time with them, I think as the up-and-coming centre in New Zealand rugby last year, I think it would be crazy not to see him there. Also, I think Asafa Almua is going to have a much tougher time against the Crusaders team. He was pretty exceptional last week. One of those lineouts he scored. The Hurricanes ran this like breakaway rolling maul. So there was 2 rolling mauls, and the Blues didn't know which one to defend, and all of a sudden Namua just popped out and made a sprint for it. So I don't think any of that kind of freedom is going to be allowed to the Hurricanes this week, and I think he'll be a bit quieter because of that. Having said that, he's still going to bump some tackles, isn't it? He is a machine. One other shout out for another player, Artie Sevilla. I think he realised as that game went on last week that he had to carry the entire team. So I'm expecting him just to start that way this week against the Crusaders. I think it's going to be writing on the wall. He's going to have a huge one for them if they're going to go anywhere. Kirifi, obviously looking how that back row actually lines up this week. They were talking about having, they wanted a really big back row last week to try and bolster their locks. When you're versing Scott Barrett and Sam Whitelock, I feel like there's no other team in the entire competition where you want your second row to be good, especially with how good the rolling maul is from the Crusaders. So I don't know. I see them potentially leaving Kirifi on the bench again, but they did say horses. And Scotty Scrafton, we mentioned, was injured. So who comes in to actually start for them? So you got Kane Leao Pepe, you got Isaiah Walker-Leawere, and realistically, Blackwell was atrocious on the weekend as well. So personally, I hope we see both. And I know it'll make Cargie a very happy man as well.
Correct. Yep.
Last one, my tip, I'm going to go Crusaders by their average win margin, about $1 million.
I think I'll back you on that. Yeah, let's just Australia million. Sounds good.
Yeah, I'll go halfway through it. I'll go 500,000 points.
Excellent. How good. Very tame.